I need to tell you something before we start. I don't smoke weed anymore. I don't go to haunted houses anymore. And I haven't slept with my lights off in 3 years. This is the reason why. I live in Fort Worth, Texas. Every October, there is this massive haunted house attraction that opens up. For years, I avoided it. My friends convinced me it was time to finally go. What they didn't know was that I had a childhood that still haunts me. My father used to abuse my siblings and me. I am the oldest, so I remember everything. The yelling, the hitting, the fear that never left. He walked out when I was 10. No goodbye, no explanation, just gone. But the nightmares never left. That night, we decided to make it fun. My friend Noah hosted a pre-game at his house. There were 6 of us. We all drank. And I made the mistake of smoking weed too. I rarely smoke because it makes me paranoid. But that night, the mix of alcohol and weed felt good at first. I thought I had finally overcome that barrier. I thought I was in control. I was wrong. We called an Uber to the attraction. The line was about 30 minutes long. We made friends with the people ahead of us. I was crossfaded, but I remember almost everything that happened. When we got to the front, I started feeling woozy. The ground felt like it was shifting under my feet. I didn't say anything. I didn't want to look weak in front of my friends. So I smiled. I laughed. And I walked through the entrance. We entered the haunted house. From the very first step, the screaming was intense. The actors were good. It's too good. They were in our faces, screaming, grabbing the air near us, chasing us down dark hallways. The flashing lights were blinding. Red, blue, white, then black. Fog filled every room. I could barely see my own hands in front of me. The sound effects were deafening. Chainsaws, crying babies, whispers that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. It was all starting to get to me. I could feel my anxiety rising. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it would burst out of my chest. My palms were sweating. My legs felt weak. I was trying to keep it together, but I was losing control. One actor got in my face. He was tall. He's probably 6'5". He leaned down, inches from my nose, and screamed. Not a fake scream, a deep, guttural roar that vibrated through my skull. I flinched so hard I almost fell backward. My friends laughed. I forced myself to laugh too. But inside, I was falling apart. The haunted house felt like it was going on forever. Every jump scare made me almost lose it. The lights and fog made everything feel surreal. Like I was trapped in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Like I was slipping into something I couldn't come back from. Then we entered a room lit with an eerie red glow. The walls were covered in fake blood. Mannequins hung from the ceiling with their limbs twisted. In the center was a man dressed in a suit and top hat, covered in fake blood. He was yelling at us, playing his part. But I wasn't looking at him. My eyes were drawn to the corner of the room. And in that corner, standing perfectly still, was a man. He wasn't wearing any costume. He wasn't covered in fake blood. He wasn't an actor. He was just standing there, watching, waiting. And when my eyes focused, when my brain finally processed what I was seeing, I realized who it was. It was my father. My father, who had disappeared 10 years ago. My father, who had tormented my childhood. My father, who was supposed to be 1,000 miles away, was standing in the corner of this haunted house, staring directly at me. I let out a scream, not a playful scream. Not a scared scream from a haunted house. a scream from the bottom of my stomach. A scream I didn't know I was capable of. Every hair on my body stood up. My blood ran cold. My vision tunneled. The room went silent. My friends looked at me and laughed at first, thinking I was joking. But when they saw my face, when they saw the pure terror in my eyes, they knew something was wrong. One of the girls grabbed my arm. "What's wrong?" she asked, her voice shaking. I pointed to the corner. "It's my dad. My dad is right there." Everyone turned to look. The actor stopped his performance. The fog cleared for a moment, and the corner was empty. There was no one there. The man was gone. My friends were confused. They looked at me like I was losing my mind. Maybe I was. "There's no one there," one of them said. But I knew what I saw. I knew it was him. I was in the middle of a full-blown panic attack. My chest was tight. I couldn't breathe. The walls felt like they were closing in. "I want to leave," I yelled. "Now." Noah grabbed me and pulled me out through a side exit. He sat with me on a bench outside while our friends finished the attraction. I didn't want them to leave because of me. So I waited outside, gasping for air, trying to convince myself it wasn't real. Noah told me I shouldn't have smoked so much. He tried to assure me that my dad wasn't really in there. He said it was just a hallucination. He said it was the weed. I wanted to believe him. I needed to believe him. When our friends were done, we all went to a Wendy's nearby. I tried to eat something to calm down. I was embarrassed. I could feel everyone looking at me, but my friends didn't judge me, at least not to my face. I went home earlier than everyone else. I didn't want to ruin their night. When I got home, I crashed immediately. The alcohol and weed pulled me into a deep, heavy sleep, but it wasn't peaceful. I had a nightmare. I was back in that red-lit room. The mannequins were still hanging from the ceiling. The fake blood was still on the walls. But this time, I was alone, and my father was standing in the corner again. But this time, he was closer, much closer. He was standing right behind me. I could feel his breath on my neck. I could smell him, the same cheap cologne he used to wear, the same smell that filled my childhood nightmares. And then he spoke. His voice was exactly how I remembered it. Low, gravelly, cold. "Wake up, Charlie." And I did wake up. I opened my eyes to my dark bedroom. My room was pitch black. The curtains were drawn. The only sound was the faint ticking of my clock on the nightstand. For a moment, everything was still. I didn't move. I barely breathed. And then I saw it. My father was standing over my bed, but he wasn't standing like a normal person. He was towering. His body was bent at impossible angles. His neck was twisted. His arms were too long. His fingers were reaching toward me like spider legs. He was bent down, his face inches from mine. His eyes were wide open. Too wide, unnaturally wide. There was no white in his eyes, just black, endless, empty black. And he was smiling, a smile that stretched too far across his face, a smile that showed teeth that were too sharp. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. I couldn't breathe. My body was frozen. My mind was screaming, but nothing came out. For what felt like an eternity, I just stared at this thing that looked like my father, but wasn't. This thing that had his face, but not his soul. This thing that had come back for me. And then, somehow, I found my voice. I screamed, a scream so loud it ripped through my throat. My mom came rushing into my room. She flipped on the lights, and just like that, The figure was gone. Nothing was there. Just my bedroom. Just my closet. Just my window with the curtains still drawn. Just me, shaking, crying, barely able to speak. My mom ran to my bed and grabbed me. I told her I saw Dad. I told her everything. She held me, but she didn't know what to say. What could she say? That was one of the most terrifying nights of my adult life. I don't touch weed anymore. I only drink lightly now, and I will never, ever step foot inside a haunted house again. Not for any amount of money. Not for any dare. Not ever. But here is the part that still haunts me. The part I've never told anyone. Until now. The next morning, I was sitting in the kitchen with my mom. We were both quiet. Neither of us had slept much. She was drinking her coffee, staring at the table. I was staring at the wall, still trying to convince myself it wasn't real. Then my mom looked at me. Her face was pale. Her hands were shaking. And she said something I will never forget. "Charlie," she said, "last night, when you screamed, I ran to your room as fast as I could. But before I turned on the lights, I felt something brush past me. Something cold. Something that shouldn't have been there. It was right next to me, and I heard it whisper." She paused. Her eyes were wet. It said your name. She took a long breath. "I don't know what you saw, but I don't think you imagined it. And I don't think it's gone." I never told anyone that part of the story. Not my friends. Not Noah. No one. Because if my mom felt it too, then it wasn't just a hallucination. And if it wasn't a hallucination, then my father was never really gone. He was just waiting, and somewhere, in the dark, I think he still is. I don't know what followed me home that night. I don't know if it was my father, or a hallucination, or something else entirely. But I know what I saw. I know what my mom felt. And I know that some doors, once opened, can never be closed. If you have a childhood that still haunts you, be careful what you invite in. Because sometimes, the scariest things aren't the actors in the haunted house. Sometimes, they're the things that follow you home. This is Xyron Fear. Lock your doors. Keep the lights on. And whatever you do, don't look in the corner.